All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. So welcome to the Denver Office of Special Events Brunch and Learn on our fee implementation. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and will be shared both online on our website and also via email afterwards. We're also going to go ahead and share the presentation slides as well. A little bit of housekeeping. If you have questions, please drop them in the chat. And as always, if you are not speaking, please be on mute. So I'm Rose Watts. I'm Deputy Director of the Office of Special Events, and we are here to talk about our fee implementation. Quick overview of today's presentation includes our application fee and fee structure, rush and late fees, payment terms, and fee waivers. I'm going to pause after each section of the presentation to allow for questions. And then, of course, we'll have time at the end for questions as well. So for application fees and fee structure, this should look relatively familiar to most of you. If you've had an event in 2022, you will have received a zeroed out invoice to give you an idea of what kind of fees will be assessed for you in 2023. We mirrored our total number of daily attendees tier after the Denver Parks and Recreation Department's tiers in order to maintain some consistency. So fees will be $25 for 1 to 350 attendees, $75 for 351 to 3,000 attendees, $150 for 3,001 up to 10,000 attendees, and for 10,000 or more attendees total per day will be $250. Please note that only one Office of Special Events permit application processing fee will be charged per year for multi-day and recurring events. So for example, if you had a farmer's market, it's the exact same footprint, same pattern, same event elements occurring over multiple days. So that would be one application fee. Same thing with a multi-day event. Say it's a weekend festival, it occurs over multiple days. It's one event and one application. For total daily attendees, that is the amount of attendees that is going to attend your event throughout the entire day. It's not your peak attendance, it's the cumulative attendance that you're expecting throughout one day of your event. Does anyone have any questions on the application fee and fee structure? Great. Okay, so for rush and late fees, we're going to differentiate between the two. A rush fee is applied if an application is not ready for review at least 60 days prior to the event start date. Many of you have produced several events in the city and county of Denver. You know that both DOTI and Parks and Recreation require applications to be submitted 60 days in advance of the event. Less than 60 days, you will not be able to apply for a park permit, and up to 30 days, you will be able to apply for an Office of Special Events permit and a DOTI permit. However, that does require rush processing from the city side, and that's what these fees would be for. So a rush fee would be equal to your application processing fee. For example, if your application processing fee is $75, then the rush fee would be an additional $75. And again, that is for applications that are not ready for review at least 60 days before your event. And what does it mean to have your application be ready for review? So certain elements of the application are necessary for the city to begin reviewing the application. And without them, the application will not be processed. So we need to see a draft site plan, what you're planning to do in the public property space, a draft community notification. Again, that gives a little bit of time for Jill to review that notification if any edits need to be made so that that notification can get out in time for the first round of distribution, which is required to be distributed 45 days in advance of your event. And then your premise documentation. So a lot of you will already have your preliminary park permit. We'll know that you're moving through that process with parks and you'll have a date and location, or a traffic control plan so that DOTI can begin processing your street closure application. So the rush fee applies to your application processing. And then there are also late fees. So as you apply for your event, you start the application process, and then there are a number of elements of your application that have to be completed within that time frame. So if you apply at 60 days, you'll have a number of things that happen between 60 days and the event start date. All of those application steps must be completed in your OSC application 5 business days prior to your event start date. If not, then a late fee equal to the application processing fee will be applied. Same example, if your application processing fee is $75, then that late fee would be an additional $75. As stated in our rules and regulations, if the city is the sole limiting factor in completing your requirements, of course, no administrative late fee will be assessed. Does anybody have any questions on rush or late fees? Okay, so moving on to payment terms. How payments are going to be processed once an OSCP application is submitted and is ready for review. The invoicing and payment process will follow these steps. OSC staff reviews and calculates fees. They will then upload the OSCP invoice to the online application system, and the event organizer is alerted via email in the online application system. So you guys get email alerts when comments are made. It's going to be the same to notify you that an invoice is in your application ready for payment. Additionally, it's going to be in the same place you've been able to find your permits. There will be a tab that says billing, and that's where you'll be able to find your invoices. So if you did not get your email notification, or it went to junk, or you missed it, you're still going to be able to find your invoice in your application at the top section. Receipts are also going to be issued through the application system and emailed to event organizers. So the payment terms, fee payments are due upon receipt of the invoice and must be paid within 3 business days. That is so that we can start processing the application as soon as possible. Applications will not begin processing until the payment is received. As these fees are not permit fees, they're processing fees, they are non-refundable once the application has begun processing. We do accept several different payment types. So checks can be made payable to the manager of finance and can be either mailed or delivered along with a copy of the invoice to manager of finance at the Webb Building, 201 West Colfax. Please make sure to include a copy of your invoice in order to make sure that we are alerted right away that the payment has been received. That would slow down processing if there was just a check mailed and the invoice, the corresponding invoice was not with it. Additionally, Visa, MasterCard, and Discover payments are going to be accepted online, so you can pay those very easily within your permit application. Are there any questions on payment terms, types, or process? Okay, so what you've all been waiting for is to find out about fee waivers. How can you qualify for a fee waiver? I'm going to turn it over to Jill Liss. She is our Communications and Community Outreach Officer, and she will speak to how fee waivers can be processed.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience as we've worked through this waiver system, and I think we're ready to go. So next slide, please. So full application processing fee waivers will apply to events that meet the following considerations. They must meet all 3 of these. The host organization of the event, that's not necessarily the event organizer or the sponsor, provides ongoing direct charitable development or community support services to the neighborhood in which the event is being held. And that's in addition to the event itself. So it's not just the organization holds the event, and that's their contribution, but they have kind of an ongoing support presence in the community in which it's being held. 2, the host organization is a nonprofit, and that is registered and in good standing with the Colorado Secretary of State's office, or the organization is a registered neighborhood organization with the city and county of Denver. This does not include business improvement districts. And 3, the event has a daily total attendance of 3,000 or fewer. So these waiver considerations were developed in an effort to support community-driven events. So the small community events, we did not want the application processing fees to be a barrier for those types of events. And we did reach out and get quite a bit of input on determining these considerations from city council offices, event organizers, and community members themselves. Next slide, please. So how these will be managed is that requests for OSEP fee waivers will be submitted through the OSEP online application. Beginning November 1st for events taking place in 2023, there will be an item added to the OSEP online application, and it will be pretty self-explanatory. Just some general information will need to be provided. To clarify a couple things, fee waivers apply to the OSEP application processing fees only, not any other city and county of Denver agency fees related to your event. When applicable, rush and late fees will still apply to events that meet the fee waiver considerations. And organizers of events with waived fees will still be accountable for meeting all applicable CCD requirements. Are there any questions about the fee waiver considerations or the process to apply for those waivers? Okay, great. As always, if you have any other questions, we'll have time to take them now, but you can always reach out to anyone in our office at any time.
Thank you, everyone. I'll echo what Jill said for the patience in working through the fee waivers. It was quite an effort. We worked closely with our Office of Social Equity and Innovation and got a number of different input, as Jill said, internally and externally. And so we're happy to be able to roll that out when we start assessing fees. Friendly reminder that fees are going to be assessed for 2023 events. So many of you will start applying for your 23 events on November 1st. That's when we will start processing applications for the following year. This does not apply to events that are occurring within this calendar year. As always, you can reach out to your assigned special event permitting specialist or through the OSC contact form on our website. We thank you very much for taking the time to educate yourselves and follow along as our office continues to evolve and progress. Thank you so much and have a good morning.